$182,289. The operating capital budget for the operating and capital budget summary for proprietary funds includes revenues of $34,139,787, cash expenses of $29,832,226, and non-cash depreciation expenses of $7,251,821. Revenues. Sales tax collections account for 33% of our budgeted revenues, while ad valorem equates to 31% of governmental funds. This shift in sales tax revenue, driven by the global pandemic that began in March 2020, has defied initial expectations of a decrease and continued to rise. Following discussions with the St. Charles Parish School Board, our sales tax collector, it's projected that 2024 will see collections similar to 2023 with a slight increase. This projection considers the possibility of a looming recession in the U.S. economy. Ad valorem taxes remain steady throughout the year, but however, the catastrophic impact of Hurricane Ida on August 29, 2021 marked a significant moment in our history. In response to this impact, the St. Charles Parish Assessor's Office temporarily reduced assessed value of the parish by 10%, resulting in a reduced taxing district collections in 2022. Nevertheless, due to the expiration of numerous items for their 10-year tax exemptions, the assessor anticipates a substantial 21% increase in assessed value for 2024. Remaining revenue sources for governmental funds are detailed in the chart below. User fees provide 83% of the revenues in proprietary funds. The remaining 13% come from ad valorem tax revenue transfers from bond proceeds and grants and interest earnings. Over the past 10 years, the parish's sales tax collections have exhibited significant fluctuations, ranging from increases of up to 11.77% in the parish's favor to a decrease of as much as 8.94% against the parish. The fluctuations can be attributed primarily to the varying levels of industrial activity within the parish. In recent years, they have also been influenced by the overall state of the United States economy and the ongoing recovery from the global pandemic that commenced in 2020. And the parish's sales tax collection office anticipates a continued increase in sales tax collections for the remainder of 2023, followed by the stabilization of sales tax revenues in 2024, although the school board expects future increases to be more modest, around 1% to 2% annually, compared to the substantial growth observed in 2021 and 2022. As stated in the past, the increase one-time trends in sales tax cannot be relied upon in and year out, especially considering the current state of the national economy. These funds must be devoted to capital projects which are generally one-time in nature versus the additional funds for general maintenance and operations of the parish. The total decrease in capital outlay from the original 2022 budget is estimated at $6,745,709, with the primary driving factors being capital outlay for the parish's ongoing $61 million in levee projects, particularly the 2 pump stations in months, totaling $26 million, Sunset Auto Bar Screen Cleaners, totaling $9.8 million, and $10 million for the Sunset Pump Station upgrade. The other large factors contributing to the decrease from the 2023 budget are multiple public works projects totaling $35.5 million, a decrease of $8.9 million from 2023. Note that the 2023 capital outlay budget for public works includes projects totaling $44 million to be completed by the end of the year. Those of which are not completed will be rolled over into the 2024 budget. Throughout this budget message, I will make comparisons to the parish's 2022 financial information because it is the most recent audited financial information. Expectations of the estimated 2023 financial information and the original 2023 budget, as well as the proposed 2024 budget, are also presented herein. An update on Hurricane Ida. Our preliminary estimates for the Hurricane Ida storm costs exceeded $50 million, which included over $20 million in damages to parish property. The parish has spent nearly $40 million on IDA-related costs, most of which were debris removal and disposal, totaling just under $30 million. FEMA has indicated that it might take several years to reimburse our costs associated with this storm. As a result, the parish has received approval for a $50 million hurricane recovery note to help cover these unexpected costs. The parish has utilized $20 million of this note and does not anticipate further drawdowns. The parish must pay 2 years of interest on this note before paying the balance in full. The parish will then pay the note in full once reimbursements from FEMA are sent. FEMA has approved 100% reimbursements for the first 45 days of the storm, after which the reimbursements drop to 90%. We felt it was in the best interest of the parish to pursue this note so that our critical capital projects, as well as the normal operations, can still continue throughout this recovery. General fund. The actual ending general fund balance of $52,217,298 was $12.7 million higher than that of 2021. The ending fund balance for 2023 is estimated to be $31,309,661. The 2024 budget includes $7,135,510 of expenditures in excess of revenues budgeted, leaving an ending fund balance approximately $7,079,982. Included in these expenditures are transfers totaling $21,305,589. The transfers include $15,796,329 for flood protection, $3,714,260 for capital projects for the Recreation Department, and the following operational subsidies: $245,000 for RSVP and $1.4 million for solid waste. The general fund depends heavily on sales tax revenues as a funding source. Currently, 49% of its revenue is derived from sales tax. As seen in the schedule above, sales tax revenue can vary significantly from year to year. For this reason, a sufficient fund balance must be maintained in the general fund to continue operations during periods of economic downturn. In the best interest of the parish, it is recommended that the general fund balance should not be reduced any further, even though the parish council approved ordinance number 10-11-15 on November 22nd, 2010, which established a minimum required fund balance of no less than $7 million. Keeping the general fund balance at $7,079,982 allows us adequate funding in case of emergencies such as a hurricane, man-made disaster. With the uncertainty of changes to the tax code and other events outside of our control, my administration will strive to keep this balance as high as possible and only utilize it for projects that will provide for a better quality of life for our residents in St. Charles Parish. In 2023, the Department of Community Services continued the summer food program at St. Rose Elementary on the East Bank, as well as Carver Early Learning Childhood Center on the West Bank. The six-week program served 2,600 meals to our youth throughout the parish. The program is funded through a meal reimbursement from the State Department of Education, Child Nutrition and Grant Fund from the United Way of St. Charles to underwrite the facility use cost, with the remaining 48% of the cost paid through the general fund. This portion includes the cost of staffing and bus transportation. In addition to the transfers mentioned above, the other major annual allocations included in this budget are funding of $2,376,879 for emergency preparedness, $8,525,966 for operating and maintaining general governmental buildings, $4,014,689 for planning and zoning, CZM, as well as the ICC building codes, $2,273,293 for the district attorney's office, $1,657,580 for the sheriff's office, including the feeding and housing of parish prisoners, and $2,207,133 for the 29th Judicial District Court System. The requested budget for personnel services in the general fund is increasing by approximately $980,000 or 5.1% for the projected ending For the 2023 projected ending amount, this includes increase in health insurance as well as cost of living and merit increases. In 2024, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board released Statement 45, that's GASB 45, if you've ever heard us say that, concerning health and non-pension benefits for retired employees, also referred to as other post-employment benefits, or OPEB. The parish was required to implement this new standard in its 2008 financial statements. This rule requires the parish to report its annual accruing cost of future health benefits for retirees, whether they have provided the funds to offset the cost. The premise is to identify the anticipated costs associated with employees currently working that will be paid out after they retire. This rule does not impose regulations on the parish as to how we should fund the retiree health benefits. It does, however, govern the rules that auditors must follow, providing opinions on the reliability of our financial statements. During the 2013 budget process, the St. Charles Parish Retiree Benefits Funding Trust was created. For 2024, a total of $374,552 is budgeted in the general fund to meet our obligation for this year. Each department has allocated this amount based upon a percentage of its salaries. By the end of 2024, the trust fund will be at approximately $10.1 million. Special revenue funds. The fund balance of the parish's special revenue funds is estimated to decrease by approximately $65,754,265 from the projected result for 2023. Please note that with the change to the Louisiana Budget Act for all capital projects, whether or not they will be completed in one budget cycle, the full project amount must be budgeted before the project is released to bid. As a result, at the beginning of each new budget cycle, those projects not completed in the previous budget cycle will be rolled into the current budget cycle via a budget amendment. For the 2024 budget, my administration began rolling over projects that we do not anticipate to start until 2024, thus alleviating the need for a larger than normal mid-year rollover amendment. Rollover amendments will still be necessary due to bid law requirements, but we hope that the size will be much smaller. As a result, proposed capital expenditures for 2024 are approximately $108,715,354, which is 83% higher than that budgeted for the amount of 2023. With the passage of the levy and wastewater millages, previous funding sources utilized for said capital outlay projects can now be concentrated towards continued implementation of the master drainage plan. The increased sales tax revenues experienced in recent years were used for several of these projects. However, it does not begin to address the drainage issues in the parish. It should also be noted that we are currently budgeting approximately $44,434,126 of the roads and drainage projects to be completed by the end of 2023, with another transfer of $35,583,128 budgeted for 2024. Should these projects be implemented, the unrestricted fund balance will be at approximately $731,949, down from the $31,514,506 expected to remain as of 12/31/2023. Over 60% of the revenues expected in 2024 are estimated to come from sales tax, which the Roads and Drainage Fund heavily depends on. As the Roads and Drainage Fund also represents the parish's largest single department, GASB 45 affects it significantly, and therefore, Public Works Department is currently budgeting 224 individuals for 2024 for a total of $431,532. The recreation program is a vital service to citizens of all ages in our parish, and we must work to maintain its core programs within the budget constraints. The department maintains over 320 acres of parks and ball fields, approximately 51 locations throughout the parish. Therefore, grass cutting and field maintenance consumes the largest portion of its budget. The department's budget includes an estimated expenditures of $15,744,936, including $10,951,315 of capital outlay. These expenditures are $4,101,676 above the revenue that is expected to be generated in 2024. Because of this deficit, there is a budgeted $3,714,260 transfer from the general fund for recreation. Contributions from the general fund remained higher than the funding provided by federal grants for the RSVP Seniors Program. This budget includes a subsidy of $245,000, which allows the Retired Senior Volunteer Program to continue to provide valuable resources to our community, including staffing and increased programming, which has been instrumental in progressing this program. The millage supporting the road lighting fund was reduced by 0.15 mils in 2023. However, revenue is projected to meet the anticipated expenses of the fund due to an increase in millage value, leading to a 0.04% increase in funds, totaling an estimated ending fund balance of $1.4,685,000. Expenditures in the mosquito control fund have also increased from our projections, raising a total of $52,130 from previous year. However, the parish was still able to reduce this millage by 0.15 mils in 2023. The cost of increased surveillance suppression for encephalitis and the West Nile virus are primarily responsible for these increases. Ending fund balance in the parish's capital projects funds is expected to decrease by $10,636,249 by the end of 2024. This decrease is primarily attributed to the $10,743,359 of budgeted projects in the new Gomesa Construction Fund, which came about from the $12,455,000 Louisiana Community Development Authority Revenue Bond, St. Charles Parish Gomesa projects. Series 22 that the parish successfully attained on March 30th, 2022 for the purpose of completing vital drainage work throughout the parish. Debt service funds. The parish's debt service funds are established pursuant to the provisions of bond resolutions to retire the debt of various parish bond issues. The budgets are self-explanatory in nature. Enterprise funds. St. Charles Parish began its new solid waste contract with River Birch on May 1st, 2022, which will expire April 30th, 2027. The cost of living increases occur June 1st of every year. However, the cost of living increases have not been enough to sustain the fund, and thus a transfer of $1.4 million from the general fund is budgeted for 2024. The parish is set to renegotiate the disposal contract in 2024. In 2011, the parish received approval for a $6.5 million, 0.95% 20-year loan from the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality to repair 6 lift stations vital to the parish, as well as major repairs to the parish's East and West Bank water treatment facilities. The general fund subsidizes this loan's principal and interest payments for approximately $360,000 per year, which is included in the 0.50% public improvement sales tax bond revenue sinking fund. With the passage of the 2015 wastewater millage, we can now make necessary and vital capital improvements to the wastewater system. Unlike previous years, there's no need to transfer money from the general fund to subsidize the wastewater department. The anticipated ad valorem tax revenue generated from this millage is approximately $4.8 million annually. On June 6, 2017, the parish received approval for the new $8 million, 0.95% 20-year loan with the LDEQ for vital sewer improvements, most notably the much-needed Luling Oxidation Pond sewer upgrade, which was completed in 2022. The principal and interest on this loan will be paid for by the wastewater facility millage and will have a maximum debt service of just over $400,000 annually. On June 16, 2022, the parish received approval for a new $10 million, 0.95% 20-year loan with the DEQ for vital sewer improvements, most notably for the addition of a new sewer treatment pond on the west bank of the parish. The principal and interest on this loan will be paid for by the wastewater facility millage and will have a maximum debt service of just over $500,000 annually. While the Department of Waterworks continues to recover from damages caused by Hurricane Ida, no transfers are budgeted for 2024 for the department from the general fund, but it will be closely monitored should the need arise. Personnel services, wage and benefits are budgeted to increase 12.49% in the governmental funds and increase 13.97% in proprietary funds from the original budget from 2024. The 2024 budget includes the availability for funds for a cost of living increase for our employees, as well as a merit increase for eligible employees. The primary reason for this increase in personnel services is the governmental funds and proprietary funds is due to the cost of living and merit adjustment, as well as budgeted increase for health insurance in 2024. Medical insurance benefits for parish employees have steadily increased from 2022 to 2023, with the parish absorbing the entire increase in 2023. However, our third-party insurance provider expects significant increases in 2024, and thus the additional allocated for 2024. Parish currently pays $1,714 per month for HMO family coverage. This year, an employee pays an average of $142 per month for family coverage and $55 per month for individual coverage. The administration will continue to seek ways to lower our premiums and ensure that our employees remain healthy and safe for many years to come. One of the ways we will continue to do this is to promote the parish's wellness program. The parish contribution for the parochial employees' retirement system have also varied over the years based on economic factors and the system's return on investment. In 2003, the parish paid 7.75%, which rose to a high of 16.75% in 2013. Since 2014, the employer contribution rate has been steadily declining to a current 2024 rate of 11.5%, with an estimated budget cost to the parish of $4,216,655, an overall increase of $172,227 from the 2023 budget estimate. I know that our employees are our most important asset, and we'll always keep them and their well-being in mind throughout every budget process. Future requirements, final decisions on future requirements. The final decisions on budgetary matters belong quite appropriately to the legislative branch. On the way to those final decisions, I hope that you will find our work in proposing this budget intelligent, honest, cooperative, and helpful. I want to thank the council for your cooperation and support this year. Setting the priorities of the parish for the next year takes compromise, and you have worked with us to produce a balanced, thoughtful budget that provides the greatest positivity and impacts for our residents. In closing, I want to thank the Finance Department, my executive staff, and all the department heads for their dedication and cooperation in preparing this proposed budget. And I also want to thank all of our parish employees in helping bring St. Charles Parish back up and running following the worst storm in our history. My staff and I stand ready to answer your questions as best as possible, and we look forward to working with you to make 2024 another great year for St. Charles Parish. Part 2. I'm kidding, that was the end. It's a long one. We actually shortened it this year.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell, for that message. So Councilwoman Belloc has joined us. Welcome. Just let you guys know she's here. So I also, do council members have any questions regarding the budget message? All right, seeing none. I have a message to the council. I placed at each chair a request from me. As it is essential to maintain a clear and transparent process for the consideration of amendments to the 2024 St. Charles Parish Consolidated and Capital Budget, I'm requesting that any changes to the budget be written down and passed to the chair at the time of your verbal motion that is made to amend the budget. This request will streamline the process and add clarity and accuracy for the chair's precise restatement of your proposed budget. Your commitment to this request will contribute to the efficiency of the council's work. So thank you. Let's get to it, shall we? Ordinance scheduled for public hearing introduced at previous meeting. 2023-0121, an ordinance to approve and adopt the appropriation of funds for the St. Charles Parish Consolidated Operating and Capital Budget for the fiscal year 2024. We request that all representatives, after presenting, please remain in the chambers until after public hearing is satisfied. We would appreciate it. So thank you. We will begin the general fund on page 79 in your budget book, account number 001-400-205, District Court Judge Timothy Marcel. And he's not here. We will defer that. Moving on to account number 001-400-206 on page 81, District Court Division C, Ms. Connie Okwan. And she is not here either. Okay, we'll defer that. General account number 001-400-207, page 82 through 84, District Court Division D, Judge Lemon. And she is here. 82.
Good morning, Madam President.
Good morning.
Mr. President, Madam Secretary, Council, Finance Department. I want to start by thanking y'all for your support. This will be my last time before you. I have 67 days left in this office, and I have invited Judge-elect Farag to come with me this morning, so I want to congratulate her and say hello to her so she can learn the process. I appreciate our relationship and being available to answer questions and support and help each other. I want to reiterate the significance of wellness and thank Mr. President for supporting that for our community, for our employees, as well as anybody else. I think that's the most important thing, and working together is a good way of focusing on wellness, but there are a lot of other ways too. And so self-care is important. As far as my 2024 budget packet, it's the first time I've asked for a slight increase in my budget. I think I proposed a slight decrease last year. I'm asking for an increase. I'm not going to be here, but because of the change in the renovations of our courthouse and the possibility of needing a few extra supplies and possibly some new furniture, those are the primary reasons for the slight increase I requested, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you. Do any council members have questions or comments? Okay. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question about the budget. I just want to thank you for all your years of service. You've served our community well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I just want to echo Councilwoman Fonseca. Thank you for your years of service as a judge in St. Charles Parish, and we appreciate your service to the community. And Judge-elect, we look forward to working with you next year.
Thank you. Together we can make it. I appreciate y'all. Take care.
Thank you. Okay.
First year, Ms. Quigley didn't ask me a question.
Okay, account number 001-400-235, District Attorney, Mr. Joel Chasson. That'll be on page 88 in your budget book. Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chairman, members of the council, Mr. President. Pleasure to be here. Once again, I want to thank you for all the support you give to the District Attorney's Office throughout the years. It helps us to do what we do, and we couldn't do it without you, so thank you. Essentially, the budget, as is explained to me, is essentially standstill. The biggest difference you'll see is in personnel, which involves cost of living, insurance increases, and it's essentially standstill except for those items. Be glad to answer any questions.
Do any council members have any questions or comments? Ms. Cluley?
Try not to break the tradition here, so For contractual services.
Yes.
Can
It's
you
two
explain?
things.
Huh?
Two things. Same
Okay.
thing as last year. LACE. Second thing is that there's another software program we've got to develop. That's the reason for the $35,000.
Okay.
The other one is exactly what it was last year.
Which was?
The LACE.
Which was what?
LACE.
Lace, okay. Oh, that's the,
It's,
Traffic tickets.
LACE is the state troopers and the sheriff's office. They provide traffic services to allow their deputies to, the sheriff's office deputies patrol the streets and take care of crimes, and instead of being diverted with traffic matters, we contract with them, off-duty deputies, to try to keep the speeders from flying through St. Charles Parish. That's what that is.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, account number 0014002, I'm sorry, 410240, page 89, Clerk of Court, Lance Marino.
Good morning, Parish President and members of the council.
Morning.
Good morning. Lance Marino, Clerk of Court. I want to thank y'all for your historical support and continued support of the clerk's office. Of course, when you support the clerk's office initiatives, you're supporting all of our constituents, not only our residents who access our systems and our processes, but all the agencies that, we're an integral part of the judicial system. So you're helping the judges, the sheriff's department, district attorney, all carry out their work. And in the parish government, I know President Jewell will agree that parish government agencies access our records on a continuous daily basis. I know planning and zoning especially is happy with the work we do so they can carry out their jobs. And our assessor, Tab Troscler, has told me repeatedly that he's the biggest user, biggest customer of our systems. And he's always given us a testimonial to our efforts. So I want to thank y'all. This particular budget this year, well, let's talk about last year, was we sharpened our pencils and asked for a little less than we ever had before. This year, we're doing it again, and we're happy to do that to help parish government spend the least that they have to spend to keep our government going. So thank you. I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Marino. Ms. Cluley?
thank you, Madam Chair. Is the construction complete in your office, or do you have more renovation? You haven't started?
We start next year. We're saving the best for last. We're the last agency in this building to be renovated.
So are you going to have to move out?
That's coming soon. We're moving out. We're in talks with the parish president and the government buildings director about where they're going to put us ultimately. And we are going to have to move out. But
Was any of that, and none of that is budgeted for this?
We're also talking to, if President Jewell might want to weigh in on that.
The council just passed, I think a couple meetings ago, the professional services to do the design work.
That with this,
I'll tell her what this is.
Yeah, you can explain that.
What is this budget represents purely, I respect President Jewell's desire to only pay out of the parish government budget what he's required to pay. What's required is a fund to be available for the governing authority by law to pay for our furnishings, computers, office, and our recording books. So that's what this is.
That's what that
It has
is.
nothing to do with new furniture.
okay.
Mr. Jewell? Do you have anything additional? No. All right. All right, council members, are there any additional questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Mr. Marino.
I appreciate with your support that everything will work out and we'll get our new facility and it'll all be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Account number 001410410 on page 94 of your budget book, Registrar of Voter, Brian Champagne. And he doesn't appear to be here, so we'll defer that. account number 001-410100, page 133 and 134. Sheriff Greg Champagne.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the council. I'm Maurice Bostic on behalf of the Sheriff's Office. Does anyone have any questions about our budget?
Any council members have questions or comments regarding the budget? 133 and 134. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The largest part of the increase looks like it's in feeding and maintenance of prisoners. Has that cost per day been increased?
I'm
or-
sorry, could you repeat that?
Said the largest part of the increase appears to be in the feeding and maintenance of the prisoners. Has that cost per day increased, or is there?
No, that cost per day remains at $30, I believe. That's projection. It looks like it's a slight increase projection from last year.
Well, it's
But
actually,
again,
it's
just-
actually, I'm speaking as an increase from the projected year end, but it is actually lower than the previous year budget. So,
I think I can
that's
speak to
fine.
that,
Yeah.
Councilman. I think last year, we cut that back a little bit. We'd spoken with the sheriff, we were looking for some extra funds to put in the general fund. So we had looked at previous year's expenditures, obviously, and the sheriff normally comes with this, pretty much this exact same budget every year, but last year, we cut that back a little bit. And so it's just back in there at from the previous year.
Thank you.
Ms. Gordon.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The $90,000 for the new office equipment for bonds and fine, is that a redo of the bonds and fines office?
Bonds and fines is moving into the courthouse.
Okay.
So we need furniture for their new setup in the
Okay,
courthouse.
okay.
Okay, are there any additional comments or questions from the council? Doesn't appear to be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Account number 001-465220 on page 167 of the budget book. Parish Farm Agent Kelly Zamet.
167? Yeah.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chairman, Parish President, council members, and Finance Department. I'm Callie Zamet with the LSU Ag Center. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your continued support, not only financially, but also personally and professionally for the LSU Ag Center and its services. Our budget this year is pretty much a standstill with a few minor changes for utility expenses. And that's just expected based on projections of what we've paid thus far. So if y'all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Do any council members have questions or comments? Doesn't appear so. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, looks like we're going to move on to the special revenue funds.
Madam Chair, I have a motion.
Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Everyone will find the handout in front of you for a couple of budget amendments. It's two parts, and basic housekeeping before we get into the meat of the budget. The first part, I'm going to turn over to Grant to go over.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Councilwoman Fonseca. As you know, when TAB came and met with us a few weeks ago, the assessed value of the parish actually went up from when we initially adopted our millage stuff, which is a good thing. So that actually means more money. So the assessed value of the parish is now at $2.242 billion versus the 2.2. So that gives all the taxing districts, or the 7 that fall in this budget, additional funds. So what this amendment's going to do is just add additional ad valorem revenue. And of course, as the ad valorem goes up, you got to pay a little bit of the tax collection as well, which is very minor. So I'm just going to read through these pretty quick, but this is just adding additional funds, because with ad valorem tax, that's the easiest one to predict, because once we know what the assessed value is, it's just a calculation. So it is what it is, which is a good thing, versus sales tax, you have to guesstimate what the percentage is going to be. In this, we know what it's going to be. So we felt comfortable with making this change. So the 7 changes will be, first off, for the general fund, ad valorem revenue will increase by $52,500, and then the cost of tax collection will go up by $1,500. For the Fund 123 Flood Protection Fund, Ad valorem will increase by $65,000, and the cost of ad valorem tax collection will increase by $1,500. For road lighting, the ad valorem revenues will increase by $15,000, and the tax collection was minor, so there's no increase there. For Fund 112 drainage, ad valorem will increase by $95,000, and the cost of ad valorem tax will increase by $2,000. For Fund 113 recreation, ad valorem will increase by $49,500, and the cost of ad valorem tax collection will increase by $1,000. For Fund 114 mosquito control, ad valorem will increase by $15,500, and the ad valorem tax collection will increase by $250. And finally, Fund 401 wastewater, ad valorem revenues will increase by $37,500, and the cost of tax collection by $1,000.
All right.
Thank you, Grant. Now for Part 2, this involves the voter approval of the two propositions to increase the parish president and council salaries. So we're going to amend personnel services lines within each council department to increase those totals. The first one's Council District 1. Salaries will increase by $5,170. FICA by $321, Medicare by $75, and OPEB benefits, which is post-employment benefits, $181, for a total of $5,746. Council District 2 salaries, $5,170, FICA $321, Medicare $75, OPEB $181, again a total of $5,746. Council District 3 salaries, same, $5,170, FICA $321, Medicare at $75, OPEB is at $181, total of $5,746. Council District 4 salaries, $5,170, FICA $321, Medicare $75, OPEB $181, total $5,746. Council District 5, the same, salaries $5,170, FICA $321, Medicare $75, OPEB $181, for a total of $5,746. Council District 6, salaries $5,170, FICA $321, Medicare $75, OPEB $181, total of $5,746. Council District 7, salaries $5,170, FICA $321, Medicare $75, OPEB $181, total of $5,746. Council Division A, salaries $5,292, FICA $339, Medicare $77, OPEB $184, total of $5,892. Division B, salaries $5,292, Medicare $106, OPEB $185, total of $5,583. Parish President, salaries $49,143, pension $5,651, Medicare $713, disability $117, OPEB $1,720, total of $57,343, and grand total is $109,40. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I would like to, just a moment. I'd like to open for public hearing. File number 2023-0121 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, of any of the items that we have covered so far, please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none, I will now restate the motion. Budget amendments, ad valorem tax increase on the assessed value of $2.242 billion. General Fund, 2024, Fund number 001, the ad valorem revenue will increase by $52,500. To increase the General Fund 001, account number 001400460, will be a tax collection increase of $1,500. Fund 123, Flood Protection Fund, increase ad valorem revenues for Fund 123 for $65,000. To increase 2024 Flood Protection Fund 123, cost of ad valorem tax collection, $1,500. Fund 105, road lighting, to increase ad valorem revenues for Fund 105 by $15,000. Fund 112, drainage, to increase ad valorem revenues for $95,000. To increase the ad valorem tax collection by $2,000. Fund 113, recreation, to increase ad valorem revenues for Fund 113, $49,500. To increase the ad valorem tax collection by $1,000 for Fund 113. Fund 114, mosquito control, to increase ad valorem revenues for Fund 114, $15,500. To increase the mosquito control Fund 114 ad valorem cost collection of $250. Fund 401, wastewater, to increase ad valorem revenues for Fund 401 by $37,500. To increase wastewater Fund 401 account number 4011402451 ad valorem cost collection by $1,000. Okay. Part 2, to implement the changes as a result of the HRC Amendment Propositions 1 and 2 approval from the October 14th, 2023 election by increasing the following personnel services accounts within the general fund as listed below, a total of $109,040, and the individual lines are broken down as such. For Council District 1, salaries increased by $5,170, FICA $321, Medicare $75, and OPEB by $181, for a total of $5,746. Council District Number 2, salaries increased by $5,170, FICA by $321, Medicare by $75, and OPEB by $181, total of $5,746. Council District Number 3, salary increased by $5,170, FICA by $321, Medicare by $75, OPEB by $181, for a total of $5,746. Council District Number 4, salaries by $5,170, FICA by $321, Medicare by $75, OPEB by $181, for a total of $5,746. Council District Number 5, salaries $5,170, FICA $321, Medicare by $75, and OPEB by $181, for a total of $5,746. Council District Number 6, salaries by $5,170, FICA by $321, Medicare by $75, OPEB by $181, for a total of $5,746. Council District Number 7, salaries increased by $5,170, FICA by $321, Medicare by $75, and OPEB by $181, for a total of $5,746. Council at Large Division A, salaries increased by $5,291, FICA by $339, Medicare by $77, OPEB by $184, for a total of $5,892. Council at Large Division B, salary increased by $5,292, Medicare by $106, OPEB by $185, for a total of $5,583. Parish President, salaries increased by $49,143, pension increased by $5,651, Medicare by $713, disability by $117, OPEB by $1,720, for a total increase of $57,343, a total increase of $109,040. All that said, I have a motion by Ms. Fonseca. I need a motion by Ms. Fonseca, and I have a second by Ms. Cluley for the amendment I previously read. Please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously. Okay. All right, moving on to special revenue funds. Account number 113, page 207 and 212, Recreation, Mr. Dwayne Foray.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council, Parish President Jew. 2024 proposed budget, Dwayne Foray, Department of Parks and Recreation. I'd like to answer any questions you may have concerning the budget.
Okay. Okay, do we have any comments? Ms. Fonseca?
Just a quick, possibly a typo. The 185,000 for the West Bank and East Bank, it says bike park benches. Is that supposed to be bike path?
Yeah.
Levy path?
Yeah, levy path?
Okay,
Yeah.
just a typo. Thank you.
Donna, can we make a note of that to correct the levy path? Yeah.
All right, Ms. Cluley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the Monsanto tennis court on page 210, you have 35,000. Is there more to be done, or is that still what's being worked on right now?
No, that's actually resurfacing the tennis courts.
That hasn't been done yet?
That hasn't been done.
Okay. I would like to make an amendment to this fund to add $75,000 to Monsanto Park for additional fencing and bleacher covers, and to also include for AMA Ballpark at ADM, $225,000 for restroom, fencing, seating, parking and drainage enhancements if needed, and any potential upgrade to the basketball court there.
Okay. We have an amendment to add additional fencing and bleacher covers to the Monsanto Park for $75,000. And an amendment for the AMA Ballpark at ADM for restroom, fencing, seating, parking and drainage upgrades to the basketball court for $225,000. Please cast your votes.
Do we need a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion by Councilwoman Cluley.
Do I need a second?
I need a
Need a second.
motion and a second. A motion by Ms. Cluley, second by Mr. Dufresne. Okay, please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously. Okay, next is account number 113540100 on pages 208 and 209. Recreation Department, Mr. Foray.
Same, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Do we have any council comment or questions? Ms. Cluley?
Sorry about that. Is there a timeline on the dog park?
No, we have the design all completed. Basically, we need the roadway built or extended, and then hopefully within a couple years.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, account number 113 and page 210, recreation explanation of capital outlay. Mr. Foray.
Same. I want to thank you all for making a commitment to our wonderful parks, especially West Bank and East Bank. And on the horizon is our wonderful DeSalmons boat launch. So you see those funds allocated in this particular fund.
Okay, one moment. Okay, Ms. Belloc.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to see a restroom for the Ed Reed Park, which is the Parquet Park. From one fund, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. I'm trying to get it back. Fund 113, 63,000 for a restroom.
Okay, I have a motion from Ms. Belloc for Parquet Park from Fund Number 113 for a restroom in the amount of $63,000.
Madam Chair, I think we need to get clarification from Grant on how much money we actually have left after Ms. Luly's motion.
Yeah, well, Ms. Cooley, because we're right now, in the general fund, we only have about 23,000 over.
Yeah.
So we're taking it out of recreation. So the 300,000 that Ms. Cooley added, recreation had $1 million fund balance, so now they're at 766. So they can afford the 63. So it'll just take them down to 710.
So we'll have how much left then?
In the general fund, 23,000. In recreation, probably around 710-ish.
Perfect, thank you.
I had already checked.
Okay. I'll restate, we have a motion for Ms. Belloc for Parquet Park Fund, from Fund Number 113 for a restroom and for $63,000. Right, we have a second by Ms. Cluley. Please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Account number 113-450-112, page number 211, summer camp. Mr. Foray.
All right. Same.
Since they were just talking over there, Mr. Corey, thank you so much for everything that you've done in St. Rose, because you've done an awesome job in St. Rose with our parks, with the renovation of our parks and the new trailhead in St. Rose. Awesome job. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you. Couldn't have did it without y'all and y'all's support, so I appreciate it.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments from council? Doesn't appear so. Thank you, Mr. Foray.
Thank y'all. And I want to thank y'all for allowing me to cut the line so I can get to our senior fall fest. And if you do get time, if you finish up a little early, stop by. We got some wonderful games and food.
There is one more count, the
Okay.
capital project funds.
Construction.
That is account number 302 on page 237 and 238, recreation facilities construction.
Yeah. Again, that's money allocated through the development of subdivisions. So normally in the past, we wait for certain projects to come up in that area, and we'll use those funds to transfer it for that particular project,
Okay.
as we
Right.
did with Rathbone.
Do any council members have questions or comments regarding this? It doesn't appear to be.
Thank y'all so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay. That was the capital projects funds. Moving to general fund, account number 001-450-300, page 164 and 166 in your budget book. Community Center. Andrea Coleman. Is she here? There she is. Good morning.
Good morning. Anidra Coleman, Elday Dufresne Community Center. Do you have any questions?
Do any council members have questions or comments? Doesn't appear as though they do. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman.
I'm taking Mr. Araby's spot.
Oh, you are? Okay.
For who?
He's taking Miss Jean's
Okay.
spot.
Okay. Okay, special revenue funds, account number 116, on pages 215 through 219, for the retired senior volunteer program. Mr. Dewey is taking Ms. Araby's.
Thank you. I'll be taking Ms. Araby's spot. She's preparing for the Fall Fest today, and she's hosting the Louisiana Directors of AmeriCorps later this week. Any questions on her budget, I'll try to answer them.
Do any council members have questions or comments on this, this account? Page numbers 215 through 219. Any questions or comments? Doesn't appear to be.
Thank you.
We're not done yet. Hold on.
Three more accounts.
We have three more. Account number 116-430-521 on page 216, federal. Okay, I'm going to request that we do that in Globo, federal, state, and local. Account number 116-430-251, 116-430-260, and 116-430-270. Are there any questions or comments? Doesn't appear to be. Thank you, Mr. Dewey.
Thank you.
Okay, file number 2023-0121 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding any of the items that we've discussed so far, please do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. All right, now we're moving to the general fund. Account number 110-400-110, pages 64 through 66, council fund. Ms. Impastato.
Good morning, council members, parish president. I'm here to present the council department budget and happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Do any council members have any questions or comments? Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many employees are in this department now?
We have 11 full-time, including myself.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments? I don't believe there are. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Impastato. Okay. General Fund, account number 001400111, page 67, Council District Number 1. Ms. Gordon.
Yes, thank you. My 2024 budget will remain as is.
All right, thank you. Account number 001400112, page 68, Council District 2. Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I'd like to reduce the life and health insurance on this account by $15,000 to add that back to general fund because the incoming council person will not need this funding.
So that's to reduce health insurance
By $15,000.
by $15,000. Okay, have a motion by Ms. Cluley and a second by Ms. Fonseca to reduce the health insurance on count number 001400112 by $15,000. Please cast your votes. That passes unanimously. Item number 001400113 is Council District 3, and Councilman Gibbs has requested to defer that till November 6th. Account number 001400114 is on page 70 of your budget book, and that is Council District 4, Nikki Dufresne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The budget will stay the same for 2024.
All right, very well. Thank you, Mr. Dufresne. Item number 001400115 is on page 71 for Council District 5. Ms. Belloc.
Thank you, Madam Chair. District 5 budget remains the same.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Belloc. Account number 001400116 is Council 6, and Mr. Fisher has deferred until later. He should be here later this afternoon. Item number, or account number 001400117, Council District 7, Ms. Fisher Cormier has deferred this until November 2nd. Item number 001400118, page 74, Council Division A, that's Council at Large Division A, that is me, and I request that the budget remain the same. Account number 001400119, page 75, Council at Large Division B, Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also request that my budget remain the same.
All right, very well. Item number 001400310, pages 91 through 93, Parish President Matt Jewell.
Council members, my budget is pretty much flat with the addition of $60,000 for a vehicle.
So you
questions?
request an additional 60,000?
No, it's already in there.
Oh, it's already in there, okay.
It's relatively flat. The difference you're seeing is
All right.
it's relatively flat. The difference you're seeing is a capital expenditure.
All right, are there any questions or comments from the council regarding this, this account number? I don't see any. Thank you, Mr. Jewell.
Maybe that's what it costs to lease a car. You ever try to buy a car these days?
Okay, Special Revenues Fund. Account number 102 in pages 179 and 180 for Parish Transportation. Mr. Bingham.
Good morning, Council. I appreciate all the work that you all do for us and how you support my department. I'm here to answer any questions you have on the Transportation Fund.
All right, any council members have any questions or comments regarding this account? I do not see any. Thank you, Mr. Bingham.
Thank you.
Account number 105, pages 181 through 183, Road and Lighting District, number 1. Mr. Berto.
Good morning, Parish President and Council. Eric Berto, Contract Administrator. I'm here to answer any questions about road lighting.
181.
What's your name?
Eric Berto.
Contract.
Ms. Gordon.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. On the capital outlay, the 300,000, the major repair and miscellaneous, what would that consist of?
Like right now, it's for anything over the $5,000 mark, like the high-rise streetlights for 310. Anything that runs over $10,000, and that right now is about $298,000. So it's for the repairs.
Okay.
Are there any other additional comments or questions from council?
Oh, yes.
I do not see any, but Mr. Berto, thank you so very much for all the help that you've given me over the
Yes,
last
ma'am.
few months regarding some lighting issues.
I'll be right back right here.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, stay close.
All right. Okay. Account number 112, on pages 191 through 206, Road and Drainage, Mr. Bingham.
Yes, we're playing musical chairs here, you know. He's up, I'm up next. So, again, we thank you for all the help that you've had with our account and how much work we've gotten done since I've been here. And we look for your support, continued support in moving forward with our budget this year.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. Are there any council discussion or comments or questions? Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On your capital outlay for roads and bridges for the Jeff Watson Boulevard, the $900,000, is that going to construct it all the way to Ashton Boulevard, or is that only to the Dog?
That should be for the whole entire road.
Is there any kind of timeline, or is that, is there engineering also included in that? Or
The engineering is separate, but the engineering is primarily done. We were waiting on getting the property acquisition done, and we have reactivated that project. It was on hold while we were waiting for that property, so we intend to move that project forward this year.
Thank you.
Mr. Jewell.
Oh, I was just going to comment to Ms. Cluley that the project's moving forward. We requested the DOTD permit to move that project forward because we have to go under the bridge within proximity of the pillars of the bridge, so.
Any other comments or questions? I don't see any.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing is 112, account number 740 on page 193 for flood control, Mr. Bingham.
Same thing. It's similar budget that we've had. Continue to work towards improving drainage and flood control for the parish, something that has been a paramount importance to us since I've been here.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the council? All right, let's move on to account number 112-420-210 on page 194 and 196 for paved streets.
This is for roads and paved streets, and I would appreciate your support on our budget for this.
Any comments or questions from the council? Doesn't appear to be. Let's move on to account number 112-420-230, pages 197, 198 for sidewalks and crosswalks. Mr. Bingham.
Again, this is our normal budget item for these items, and we continue to work diligently to keep everything up to par, and I would appreciate your support.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes, thank you. On the West Bank bike path, is this the bike path in Hornville, or?
Yeah, that would be the one that is the last piece, really, that goes from Hanville out to Kelowna.
Okay, so where are we with this project?
Due to some issues with the Corps of Engineers, we're back to actually square one on that bike path. We will be moving it forward. There was an expiration of some information that they needed, so we are going to have to go back and redo a lot of what we'd already done.
Okay.
Mr. Jewell?
Just some further detail. We have partial, so a little history on this. The Corps of Engineers paid for some of the engineering of the bike path. In 2018, they were waiting for a response from St. Charles Parish on a couple of outstanding issues regarding the bike path. The parish did not respond, and so they essentially closed out the project. We have been working in Councilwoman, you were in a meeting last November, where we're trying to get them to activate a new project for us, and basically pick up this engineering where we left off. So we do have some engineering. The goal is to get this thing built. Obviously, because we're having we're trying to do it in a way where we're not on the hook for the entire portion of this, but the goal is to move it forward. But I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of kind of how that project started, how it died, and our attempts to resuscitate it.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Okay, let's move on to account number 112-420-260, pages 199 and 200, drainage from Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is probably the most important part of my job, is the drainage part of for the parish, and I would appreciate your support for this and budget, so that I can continue to do the important work that we do for the parish in this area.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the council? I don't see any.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so
Bingham.
much.
Account number 114, pages 213 and 214, mosquito control, Mr. Berto.
Everyone's favorite over the last 2 months.
Yes.
Any questions on mosquito control?
Oh.
Maybe I can answer.
Yeah. 213. Ms. Cooley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there ever any money left in this account by the end of the?
I'll let you know at the end of this year. Only because it's I've only been here 7 months, but yeah, and it goes up a little bit this year, but that I can't answer right now.
All right, thank you.
I do have a question. I appreciate all your efforts your efforts for mosquito control, as well as the lighting that you've helped me with. Can you give us any specific reason why mosquitoes have been so bad this year?
I can email you all the data that I get. I get a weekly report plus a monthly report from VDCI, and it's a lot of scientific data, and it's due to obviously the weather. The drought spoiled us for 2 months. It didn't allow the larvae to hatch. The hurricane that hit Florida 2 months ago pushed the northern winds up. I can email you the entire detailed report.
That's
and there's
fascinating to
some
me.
new
I'd like to
breed,
know.
the little black ones that come out in the middle of the daytime.
I would like to know. Mr. Jewell?
I think there's like a 90% of the reason the mosquitoes are bad is because we live in a swamp, number one.
Of course.
The other 10% might be you, because when you started,
I got them.
they weren't bad before that, and now they are. So I just want to let you know we're gonna we'll reflect on your performance review.
That's fine. I'll take it with me when I leave.
And so, but no, Eric, I appreciate. Look, for those who don't know Eric's been working with us now for how many months now, Eric?
About 7, 8 months.
Yeah, and he's been doing a great job. He's been really hands-on. Yes, that's what I was just saying. He brought them from his house over on Beaupre. And so he's been doing a great job for us, and keep up the great work. You're doing a great job in your
Thank you,
first
sir.
budget hearing.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any additional comments or questions from the council? I don't see any. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to back up real quick because we see that Judge Marcel has come into the room. So I'd like to go ahead and get his account settled here. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for accommodating me this morning. I had a few matters on my docket that I could not move. I want to begin by thanking Madam Chair, members of the council, Mr. Jewell, for the extraordinary support that both the legislative and the executive branch have demonstrated to the judicial branch of government over my last 8 years. I want to thank Ms. Cluley for her service, Mr. Dufresne. I saw Ms. Belloc here earlier. Thank her for her service to this council. And Ms. Billings, as she's moving on to a bigger legislative body.
Thank you, George.
There you are. The first budget that's being presented is the district court budget. It is essentially a standstill budget. There was an adjustment for cost of living in accordance with what is being proposed for all parish employees. Otherwise, it's the same budget that we presented last year. And I welcome any questions that you may have.
All right, this is account number 001400208 on page 85 and 86 of your budget book. And this is funding for District Court Division E. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question. Judge Marcel, I just wanted to thank you so much for your service and wish you well in your new position.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question. You have $50,000 in miscellaneous.
Yes.
Is that coming into the new building?
I believe, Ms. Kluger, I believe that is specific for specialty courts, our drug court program.
Okay.
I created a different category as I presented it to Mr. Dewsome, specifically so everyone knows who's coming in. That's what those dollars are to be used for. That's the miscellaneous. Is that the 50,000 for specialty courts? It's always been in the budget, Ms. Cluley, but just in a different category.
Okay. There's $60,000 for advertising dues and subscriptions. Is that anything particular?
Yes, ma'am. That is Westlaw subscriptions. That is subscriptions for our case management program, another software package. It's primarily for software licenses. Yes, thank you, Mr. Newsom.
And salaries, I don't know if that was an error. It went from 2,700 for regular salaries and wages, but the non-payroll related salaries. And then this year jumped up to $170,000 as opposed to 2022. I don't know if that's just a different classification or if that's new personnel.
We transferred some of the, we used to pay. We were paying for some of the court reporter stuff out of there, and we moved, like out of 110, which is criminal court fund, we moved that into the district court because.
So it's just a different
Yeah, it
classification.
just reclassified.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Cluley.
Mr. Jewell.
I just want to thank you, Judge Marcel. It's been great to work with you through a couple of challenging times. If y'all don't know this, Judge Marcel took the reins after Hurricane Ida to get the court, our court system back up and running in really a remarkable time. I think, what was it, 30 days from the day after Hurricane Ida to holding court again. And I think we were the only parish that was able to do that. and he did an incredible job working with the district attorney and everybody else to make that happen. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Mr.
As you ascend to the higher ranks of an appeals court judge.
Yes.
I'm sure Corey will be in front of you at some point in time to try to get something overturned, and we hope you remember us.
As I've shared with people, my office may be relocating, but I'm not going anywhere. This St. Charles Parish is very, very important, and I hope to remain involved. And Mr. Jewell, thank you for your comments. But what occurred during Hurricane Ida and its aftermath is indicative of the work of this council, work of the parish government, that we come together and we get things done. And we could not have reopened courts as quickly as we did without the relationships and the collaboration between the different governmental bodies. The same thing is true for COVID. When COVID came in, we had to shut down for a little while, but we were then given resources with personal protective equipment, sneeze shields, to reopen courts when many across the state remain closed. And it's because of the support that you've given the judicial branch that we've accomplished all that we have. And I will always be grateful. And thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. We have one more fund
Two
for
more.
you, 001400210, page 87, it's grand jury.
That is a standstill budget, members of the council. It has been the same requested allocation, or appropriation, excuse me, for the past 5 years that I've been chief.
All right, any council comment or questions? We don't see any.
I have one more. I have the Division E budget, Madam Chair.
Vision E, where's that?
That is
Oh, you're
001-400.
speaking on behalf of Judge Oakmont?
No, Division E, ma'am.
Didn't we do that one the first? No. Okay. Account number 001400208 on page 85 and 86, District Court Division E.
It's a standstill budget.
Same thing.
I get confused too, Madam Chair, sometimes.
All right, are there any questions or comments from the council? Up here that we have.
Thank you very much,
sir.
everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we have,
Madam Chair, I would like to make a budget amendment. Madam Chair,
oh, there you are. What's that?
I would like to make a budget amendment.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to reduce the sheriff account, general fund 001-410-100, feeding and maintenance of prisoners by $60,000. And then I want to transfer from general fund to special revenue fund 116-430-270, RSVP local capital outlay for an acquisition of a vehicle in the amount of $60,000.
Okay. I have an amendment. I need a motion. I got a motion by Ms. Gordon and a second by Ms. Fonseca. The amendment is to reduce the sheriff's account general fund 001-410-100 for the feeding and maintenance of prisoners by $60,000 and transfer from general fund to special revenue fund 116-430-270 for RSVP local capital outlay, acquisition of a vehicle, $60,000.
Madam Chair, I have one more statement in reference to this. This is going to be to purchase a van. They currently have a van, but the year of the van is 1989. So they're always going to different places with the RSVP members. So instead of having them to jump off the van that they currently have, so they're wanting to purchase a van.
Okay. So it's for the specific acquisition, the specific for an acquisition of a van? for the
Correct, to purchase a van.
Okay. So that's a transfer to general fund, special revenue fund, 116-430270, RSV local capital outlay, acquisition of vehicle, $60,000 for the purchase of a van. Okay, and that's made by Ms. Gordon, second by Ms. Fonseca. Please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously. Ms. Belloc.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Under roads, drainage, sidewalks, and crosswalks, account number 112-420230. I would like to add, under improvements other than buildings, a sidewalk for Bar None subdivision, only on Palomino Drive. The amount is $100,000. Miles and myself have talked about this probably a couple of years ago, or a year ago or so. And so, and I didn't see it in there, so I wanted to make sure that that was in there. A sidewalk, Palomino Drive for Bar None subdivision. Account number 112-420230, 100,000.
I have a motion by Ms. Belloc. I need a second.
Only a certain portion of it,
Right.
not the whole thing.
Well, no, all of Palomino. Ms. Cluley was asking, was it for a portion of Palomino? No, all of Palomino.
Well, you may need more than $100,000.
Yeah, you're gonna need more than 100,000.
So you want to do,
That's not enough to do all of Palomino.
yeah, because it's a pretty long subdivision, not to go down each individual street, just,
I understand I happen to agree with Councilman
okay.
Dufresne. It's probably going to cost more than that, but we can
Well, we have
start.
available 700,000, but I didn't want to go deep into the pockets, right?
Okay, I was going to just say, we would have to do a cost estimate to see what, putting a sidewalk down would
Okay.
be. But I'd have to look at distance and everything. So I'm not really ready to give a total cost for it, but I could do something and get you an answer for Thursday.
That would be great, and then I could bring it then. Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Ms. Cluley.
Or what you could do is you could build on it, well, you could initiate,
phases.
you could initiate a balance in there that they can carry forward if it's not done within this term, this next year's budget, so, as a possibility.
That's good, yeah.
Okay, so you wish to withdraw your,
Yes, I
All right.
withdraw.
thank you, Ms. Belloc. Okay, let's move to capital project funds, account number 312 on page 240 and 241, Department Gomesa Construction Fund. Mr. Bingham.
Should have just stayed up here. Miles Bingham, Public Works Director. This is our Gomesa Fund. We have projects that are scheduled under this, and I would appreciate your support. I don't think there have been any changes in the funding or anything of this.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Ms. Fonseca?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Miles, we've had some conversations in the original list of projects that, was planned.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we approved bond, has been whittled downward because of the increase in construction costs. So, can you tell us now what you're looking at doing with this funding?
Well, I think the first thing I'm going to say is that I'm going to see what projects get to construction first. So I'm going to try and keep with the list of projects. We're advancing all of the projects on this list to construction, and I'm going to use the money as we get projects ready for construction. So it's, there's probably not enough money in the fund to do everything that we want on this list. In fact, I could say the Engineers Canal Pump Station would probably eat up all of this plus some more. But I'm going, we're working on other funding sources as well to try and do all of these projects. They're all important, and they all benefit our drainage system. So we're not going to, we're going to continue to advance every project in this list towards construction.
Thank you for making that point. I think we just all need to understand that because of cost increases over the last few years, original projections of what we thought we were going to be able to do with the money have changed. And the bids have come in. Thank you. Sorry about that. If you can't hear me now, you can. The original bids that, have come in, a lot of them have been over. And, so we've had to pull money from other areas to get the projects under construction that we have under construction now, many of them. So just looking forward, we're going to have to keep that in mind because there are a lot of needs to cover, and they're all expensive.
I would say that, estimates have increased, which is what you're talking about. But also, in some of these projects, they were, done as a master drainage plan, sort of high-level view, and they gave us what they thought what they thought would need. They didn't take into account, and I can go into lots of different things, but moving infrastructure that's already there is becoming an issue, and that costs money, So, and some of what we actually need to do to accomplish what we want to do also has increased the cost of some of these projects, so that we get the effect that was required, was put down in the master drainage plan. So I think we have a lot of work to do to get to where we need to go, but we're going to continue forward with the endeavor to get all of these constructed.
Right. I just ask that y'all keep the capital projects spreadsheet updated with the funding sources you're targeting, given the changes that we're probably going to have, especially with this funding source. Thank you, Miles.
Thank you, Miles.
Any other questions?
Mr. Jewell.
I was just going to add to what Miles said. I guess another important lens of how we are going to look at these projects is not only projects that come up for construction, because what we've been doing with most of our projects is when we get them ready for construction, we make sure to do what we have to do to get them out and get them constructed. And we are committed to doing that in every district of the parish as they come ready. But as we look at the GOMESA dollars and we look at the list of the projects that we have, and by the way, I think all of those projects are master drainage plan projects in that GOMESA list, to whittle it further down to which projects are going to have the biggest bang for the buck, in a sense, and which projects, looking at the areas that those projects impact, which of those areas are having the most flooding, and targeting those first. So kind of looking at it from a couple of different viewpoints and making sure that the projects that we do, when we do them, are the most impactful projects that we can, I think is very important too. So we're going to continue to and be committed to pushing that forward.
Is there any additional council discussion or questions? Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you. I just wanted to add, do you want to revise this in this setting?
Or
you want
GOMESA funding at this
You want to
time?
keep because the capital projects list has Engineers Canal Pump Station at 9 million. And, here we have it at 3.8. So obviously, my point is this is outdated. So
It is, but, I think doing this in this budget setting, the council can move money to other projects. I think it kind of says where the priorities are, and I don't know if we want to have that conversation today, or whether that would be better done as we move forward and see where we are on projects.
Well, I just think that this isn't given a realistic picture But if you want to leave it as is for right now, I'm okay with that.
I would prefer to leave it as is right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham.
Thank you.
Okay, special revenue funds, account number 123 on page 221 and 222 for flood protection. Mr. Sholey. Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to direct you to page 222, the explanation of the spending. There are four major projects that we're looking to do. Two of them are the 2 months pump stations that are nearing final design for engineering. You know, with our monthly updates that we send to the council members, you can see the importance of the pump stations as West Shore is being built and constructed. The higher that levee gets, the greater the importance of these stations to be able to protect the residents and mines. The other two major projects are the auto bar screen project and the engine upgrade project. The two basically go together. The Sunset Station is a manually operated station, and the engine upgrade is going to allow us to auto-start the engines and put them on telemetry. And this project in particular, along with the MUNT stations, has been a very high priority of President Jewell relative to the drainage in these areas. But being able to put the stations on auto start is a critical thing for the Sunset area. And also the engine upgrade is going to, it'll be replacing the pumps, the gearboxes in the engines. That's going to allow us to restore the efficiency of the system. And we anticipate a reasonably significant gain in capacity just by between auto bar screens and the upgrade of the system. And I appreciate your support. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Is there any additional, or is there any council discussion and questions regarding account number 123? Doesn't appear, oh, Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sam, thank you again for all you've done all these years, and for managing to get all these projects budgeted within, you know, the amount of these funds that we get through the ad valorem tax that the voters approved back in 2015. Come a long way, and the progress shows. And just getting it accepted as a federal project was a huge milestone. So I know you'll continue to work closely with state and federal government to ensure that even though they've also experienced drastic cost increases, that we'll still be able to do this project in the near future.
Yeah, we feel confident that we're going to be able to do them. It's a type of projects that just need to be done. And that's how President Jewell told me that. They just need to be done. So that's the approach we're taking, and we will get them done.
Thank you.
They're very challenging, but we'll get them done.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The 16 million for the CPRA, is that already funding that we've received?
Right. That's the funding that the Grants Department, President Jewell worked on very diligently to help supplement this, because you can see how expensive they are.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's already accounted in the budget.
Okay, the seller's sector gate inspection for $100,000, who actually does those inspections?
What we have on the seller's gate is, you know, we do quarterly inspections, semi-annual and annual, but then we also have a major inspection that's coming up that we have to dewater the system. And currently we've done underwater inspections, and we're currently right now doing above water inspections, and we are delaying the dewatering inspection for another 5 years. It's a very costly inspection, and it's the truss system and the needle system that they designed to dewater that canal is actually stored at Bayou Sinet, and there's no way to get the truss system over there except by barge and tug. And so we're doing this underwater inspection to delay it and they're going to do the Bayou-Sinet dewatering, and we're going to go over and monitor how the system works. So we'll have a better understanding of what we have to do when we have to do it. But we're going to delay it 5 to 6 years.
Thank you.
Is there any additional council discussion or questions? Doesn't appear to be. Thank you, Mr. Sholey. Thank you very much. This time, I'd like to have a brief recess to allow council to get refreshments and take a brief rest. I just did 3:10. Yes, ma'am. So can we reconvene here at 11:05? Is that okay? We could do that. Let's do a public hearing real quick. File number 2023-0121 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. This item and any other items that we have covered so far. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. So we are going to recess until 11:05. See you back here in a minute. Holly?
And I actually think going out there and talking to them now might be cheaper than trying to bring. It's a little bit more.
Holly?
Made one set of trusses.
Yeah, we're gonna reach out to you.
Going again.
But they can't find
Yes.
Hello, okay, we're going to get rolling again, and I'd like to pick up the pace, move it a little bit faster. We've got several accounts that have the same representative, but we do have some cleanup to do. One last thing for Mr. Sholey, thank you very much for your patience. Where did he go? There he is. And that is account number 310 on page 239, West Bank Hurricane Protection Levy. Mr. Sholey.
Yes, ma'am. What this account is the bond fund, the $15 million bond fund. And the three projects that have been paid out of this bond fund are the 3.6 miles of Magnolia Ridge, the Parity Gate. Both these projects are finished, and the Kellogg T-wall, which is 95% complete, and it's been paid out of this bond fund also. And a notable item here is that the final change order should be done within the next several months. So we believe it's going to have a fund balance of roughly $260,000, which that fund balance will be applied to the Sunset Auto Screens, and then that will be officially closed out. So it's taken a while to construct these three projects in order to use the $15 million in the bond fund. But this bond fund has allowed us to put the funds necessary to build the pump stations in months. So it's been worthwhile, I think.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sholey. Is there any council members have questions or comments for Mr. Sholey regarding Fund 310? Doesn't appear there is. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Sholey. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to enterprise funds. Account number 401, 401 420-451, 401-420-452, and 401-520-453. That's wastewater, administration, collection and maintenance, and treatment, pages 249 through 256. Mr. DeGeneres.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Council, if you have any questions for the wastewater fund, please let me know.
Give us a moment to collect ourselves here. Are there any council comments or questions for Mr. DeGeneres? Bless you. It doesn't appear that we have any questions or
I do have
comments.
one change, though, on page 258,
All right.
the Fund 406, where we have the 3127 pond. If you remember last week, we talked about removing that project and doing the Hahnville plant expansion and improvements.
Mhm.
So just changing the project would be the.
All right, what page was that, did you say?
258.
258, and it was the project? Okay, I see.
Just change the
Just that.
project name, keep the same amount of money that's there. It's just a project name is all we're changing.
All right.
Hahnville treatment plant expansion.
All right. All right, Mr. Jewell?
Yeah, I was just going to give some background for the council members. So we have been looking to expand our capacity on the West Bank. We can do that one of two ways. Our initial thought in actually coming into this administration from the prior administration was to add an oxidation pond off of 3127, a 20-acre pond that would allow us to pretty much expand our capacity, probably the last treatment facility we would need in the parish. We've done some preliminary work at the site, looking at potential costs and whatnot. And one of the things that we looked at additionally was what deferred maintenance we have at the Hahnville wastewater plant. So we have some significant improvements that we can make and maintenance that we need to make at the Hahnville plant. And so right now, it looks like it'd be much more cost-effective for us to actually make those maintenance improvements to the existing plant and then add another basin at the plant. We also think that obviously it's not only much more cost-effective, but we'll be able to do it faster because it's already a permitted site. And so we wouldn't be permitting a project from scratch out in the middle of the wetlands that we would have to mitigate. So we believe at this time that doing the expansion at the Hahnville plant, along with doing the deferred maintenance, is probably the most cost-effective solution for the parish and for the residents of the West Bank.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Is there any additional council questions or discussion? Oh. Okay, so, Ms. Cluley, we're going to go do Ms. Cluley first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we need to change this? Like, do we need to make a motion to change this, or is it just, okay, well, then I'll make a motion that we make this designated change for 3127 to transfer it to the Hahnville treatment plant expansion.
I have a motion by Ms. Cluley and a second by Ms. Gordon to change the name to, for
the project,
3127 Oxidation Pond Project to the Hahnville Treatment Expansion. Please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeGeneres. All right, so joining us now, we have Councilman Fisher. Hi, Bob.
Sorry, folks.
No worries.
A little late this morning.
Okay, moving to account number 450, 450, 420, 430, and 450, 420, 435 with Mr. Berto, solid waste collection and disposal and recycling.
Yes, any questions?
Give us just a half a minute here. That's pages 275 through 279. Mr. Dufresne?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What are we recycling, Eric?
Nothing.
Okay.
4 years.
We're keeping the budget there. That was what was projected for last year, just in case for the account number. We don't have a recycling program right now.
I know.
So
I was just wondering why.
We're not spending it.
we're not spending, we're just putting money in that account just to keep.
Well, we're putting money in the account. If something changes that is going to allow us to be able to recycle, we want to be able to jump on that, obviously. For those who aren't aware, we did put out a recycling component of our initial RFP when we selected a new solid waste company. Unfortunately, it was going to be about $7 and change for every resident per month for us to do that. And so we decided it probably wasn't best to add that to it at this time.
Remember it
And
quite
our
well.
understanding was that a lot of those materials were going to the landfill anyway,
That's correct.
so.
So until we make nice with China, we're not recycling. So we're just going to keep putting the money in there.
China just dumps it in.
yeah, from what I understand, it's there just to hold the account, and we can transfer if it's needed somewhere else. They can just take it. It's not being spent on anything.
Okay.
Are there any additional comments or questions from the council? Ms. Cluley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Matt, you had mentioned that the contract for the garbage collection would have to be renegotiated this.
There's two components to solid waste to solid waste collections. So what the residents pay is basically two things into one lump sum that's on their water bill. The first is the collections portion, which is like some $14 and change, and then maybe I think it might be $15 now with the cost of living. But the other portion that gets them to the $19 is the $4 a month on the disposal portion. And that's where we kind of run into some issues, is that $4 per month per resident isn't enough to cover everything that's actually being brought to the landfill. In other words, people are putting out more trash than they're actually covering for,
So that includes the large bulk pickup and everything else?
Yes, and so that's why Eric tries to police this as much as possible. That's why we say if a contractor cuts a tree down, they have to dispose of it. They can't charge you for disposal and then go put it by the street, of a full live oak. Because what happens in that situation is that every resident is now subsidizing the disposal of your tree. And so there's only a couple of ways, minus renegotiating the fee, which we'll do next year. There's only a couple of things that you can do. One thing would be to when we go out to do a new contract for collections would be a can-only contract, meaning right now we have a take-all contract. Whatever you put in the can, whatever you put on the side of the can, everything gets picked up. If you do can-only, that reduces the amount. And the other thing I think would be to eliminate bulk waste, which I don't think we want to do. So it's a little bit complex. Our goal is to try to get that, to eliminate it, but at least to get that general fund transfer as low as possible.
$44.61 a ton, and right now we're averaging at about 2,600 to 2,800 tons a month. So yeah, I did the math and sat with Grant. It's going to cost, if we were to cover that, about $3.25 a month extra per person. So, and right now everybody's paying $19.12. So we'd have to go up to about $22, $23
To cover the shortage in the
disposal pool.
Yeah, which I think the average in the metro area is around 25, 26. So we're still below that. We certainly want to have a better, a better price, as good of a price as we can.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, is there any additional comments or questions from the council? Doesn't appear so. Thank you, Mr. Boto.
Thank you.
Okay, account number 430, pages 259 through 274, Consolidated Works, District Number 1, Mr. Gordon. Yeah, I'm
Good
sorry.
morning.
We're going to do that one
Greg
first.
Gordon, Director of Waterworks. I'm here to answer any questions you may have concerning those various fund numbers.
Mr. Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Greg, one thing I didn't see was, I know with the damage sustained to the East Bank Waterworks during the hurricane and that, is there any upgrades that we want to try to make? I didn't see anything in the capital or that.
So there's two on the capital page 274, East Bank, so water treatment plant improvements, East Bank treatment plant repairs, WWKS 109, East Bank Mississippi River Intake, Waterworks 110. So those two projects are the IDA repair projects. We currently are about to go under contract for the plant repairs, and hopefully, if all the bid goes well, open bids at the end of November for the river intake. And within those projects, especially the treatment plant repairs, there are, for example, hardenings and other changing the way the roof was designed, and it's in the repair, the way it's attached basically to the physical structure of the building. And said same with there's a side building, if you're looking straight at the plant where a lot of equipment is kept, all that's going to be demolished.
Right.
And there's going to be proper footings for it. It's going to be basically a generic metal building, but in terms of the foundation, it's going to be hardened also using the most recent approved South Central design standards.
So you're going to cover all of that underneath these hurricane repairs, so we won't need to have any additional funds for any of that, right?
Hopefully not, no.
Okay.
No. And we have making application to FEMA for PW to cover any costs that may not be covered by insurance.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Cluley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You have in your capital outlay, move ground canal crossings to underneath canals for $30,000. Is that a contracted out, or is that sufficient cost for that? Is that just one location?
So usually the canal crossings, those are, so ostensibly those are kind of placeholders. We usually put $30,000 there if we have any kind of issues with those.
So this is non-specific?
No, it's not specific.
How many employees do you have at Waterworks now?
61.
61. As they progress with the electronic meters, are you going to need
So in
less?
terms of the meter readers, so what'll happen is as we move towards the newer meters, and that's in the budget to be finished next year under the meter reading improvements and equipment. Basically, what'll happen is many of the current meter readers will be kind of in a different system management, and the other ones that we feel we will not need and don't have the technological know-how, they will be shifted to the distribution crew, so they will start to be doing field work.
Trained up?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Are there any additional comments or questions from council? Okay, I don't see any there. We have account number 430, 420, 541. That is pages 262 and 263 for the administration. Mr. Gordon?
For all that, I'm here for any questions if you have.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions on the remaining accounts for Mr. Gordon? That would be 430, 420, 542, 430, 520, 543, 430, 420, 544, and 430, 420, 545. I don't see any.
Just to
Thank
give
you.
one update, we will hopefully be back to the West Bank billing office by the end of this year.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gordon. File number 2023-0121 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding any of the items we've discussed so far, please do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. We're now going to move to the general fund. Account number 001400140. It's on page 77 of your budget book, public information. Mr. Castro.
Good morning, Council. I'm here to answer any questions.
77. Are there any comments or questions for Mr. Castro regarding public information? Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Samantha, you going to keep your staffing at 2?
We have, excuse me, we have 3 members and myself on the staff.
And that's,
full-time.
you're going to keep your staff, and you're going to try to keep that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or comments from the council? All right, let's move on to the next account, 001400635, pages 120 through 121, and that is the Cable TV Administration. Ms. Castro.
And this will stay flat. This is just any expenditures we need to operate the the public access channel.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Mr. Castro regarding Cable TV Administration? All right, seeing none.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castro. Okay, item number 001400530, on page 97 and 98 of your budget book, and that is purchasing. Mr. David Ferraro.
Morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Council members, President Jewell, here to answer any questions for the purchasing budget.
Are there any questions or comments from the council? Mr. Fisher.
David, how many employees do you have?
Including myself, 7.
7. Okay. Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
sir. Okay, item, account number 001400540, on page 99 of your budget book, personnel, Ms. Dana Parker.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Parish President, and council members. My budget remains relatively the same with no significant changes. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any comment or questions from the council? All right. I don't see any. Thank you very much, Ms. Parker. Account number 001400545, pages 100 and 101, Legal Services. Mr. Oob.
Yes, thank you. As you will see, our budget did increase. It remains specifically the same in most categories. However, there was an increase due to the building, the acquisition of the building, which we want to thank the council for acquiring. It's been a great asset for the legal department to be headquartered in one area near the courthouse, near the administration, near the council chambers. It has been a great acquisition for the parish, as well as an increase in, we did add a legal secretary last year, so there's some increase in the salary. So primarily the building, such as utilities, maintenance and upkeep of the building, and the salaries are the primary reasons for the increase in the budget from 2023 to 2024. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For contractual services, is that additional attorneys?
Yes, contractual services are primarily for additional attorneys in areas that may have specialization, such as a tax issue or some federal court issue that allows, a lot of it's actually the expropriation cases that we hire specific attorneys to expropriate, handle them quicker for us than we can handle on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, well, like specialty cases, like with dealing with FEMA and the insurance collections and stuff like that, will those fees be deducted from the settlements, or is that considered part of your budget?
No, those are contingency fee cases that are deducted from the settlements. That's not part of the budget.
All right.
Is there any other comments or questions from the council? Doesn't seem to be. Thank you, Mr. Ube. Account number 001400610 in pages 104 through 106 is planning and zoning. Mr. Albert.
Good morning, council. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
No tricks, all treats, right? I'm here representing the planning and zoning, coastal management, and building code budget. Be happy to answer any questions. You're looking at pretty much the same types of budgets that you've seen in the past with some adjustments for some real-world activities that have impacted the department and residents.
To be clear, these are account numbers 001400610, 001400611, and 400400612, pages 104 through 110 in your budget book. Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the Wetland Watchers Park Jetty, $75,000 under coastal zone management. Is that a carryover or is that a new expense?
I believe that's in there every year for potential repairs.
Ms. Gordon.
Thank you. The Ford Ranger, the new Ford Ranger, is this to replace or an additional?
A little of both. We brought on a new inspector, so we have 6 field inspectors and the supervisor. Carla was gracious enough to give us an older vehicle, but we haven't asked for one in a while, and it's kind of due to replace.
Ms. Cluley.
Thanks again, Madam Chair. The $375 for professional services, is that South Central Planning?
In ICC or in?
Coastal Zone.
In coastal zone.
It's our page 107.
Yeah. I believe this is the money that stays in the budget for LAMP. It gets carried over. Oh, yeah. Actually, the coastal plan is come due for an update, so there was money
Okay, so
added
this
in
is
there in case we take the initiative to do that.
Okay, but there's nothing under contract for this yet?
No, not yet. We haven't even acquired a services agreement.
Any additional comments or questions? Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Account number 001400625, pages 103 through, 113 through 115, information technology. Mr. Ayo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Council. Parish President Jewell. I'm here to present the information technology budget to you today. Some of the things you'll note, the decrease in the capital outlay portion, that's some of carryover, some of the projects that we've had budgeted for this year, which due to supply chain, we won't be able to probably achieve. So we've kind of extended some of those numbers into 2024. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any comments or questions? Ms. Cluley.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. For your contractual services and professional services, is this What is that?
So that is for a litany of things, but usually it's for like some of our SOC as a service, our Security Operations Center, some of the services that we use with Cox with our like mail filtering. We often don't use all of those. I'm sorry, we do use the contractual. The professional services are, I guess, more an estimate in case we would have like a ransomware attack or need to escalate some services if something
Like
bad.
$700,000.
In total, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, the contractual services, like I mentioned, are a lot of the licensing as well. So for every individual end user, we've got about like 8 licenses associated with them, whether it be Microsoft Office, you know, some licensing for security products that we use, antivirus, patch management. So that covers the whole organization for those contractual management services.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any additional comments or questions from the council? I don't see any.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Account number 001400626, pages 116 through 118, GIS. Mr. Martinez. Good morning.
Good morning, council members, Parish President Jewell. My budget relatively stays flat with the exception of a slight increase of $5,000 allocated to training this year. Other than that, it's flat, exactly like last year. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Are there any questions or comments from the council? Doesn't appear there is. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms.
You all have a good
Martinez.
day. Thank you.
Account number 001400640, pages 122 through 125 in your budget book. Government, General Government Buildings, Mr. Messerly.
Madam Chair, Parish President, Council, you see my budget before you. Any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Are there any questions or comments from the council? I do not see any. Thank you, Mr. Messerly. Oh, wait, who is that? Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bob, on maintenance of property and equipment, a pretty sharp increase, looks like.
Which one was that?
Maintenance of property and equipment.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at that. Yeah. What's in that number? Donna maybe can help.
It's pretty much everything that we have on all the buildings, maintaining them. Anything we got to do is lawn cutting or fixing.
So it was about 212,000 last budget, and it's now 888.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm just wondering the big jump from year to year.
Between breakdowns and different areas and stuff like that, the cost of everything that's went up, I'm just covering my path.
You want to just get back with that? We can move on.
I mean, we got the information.
Okay.
I mean, it's all budgeted. He breaks it down by area. So, for instance, he's got courthouse. Last year, he had budgeted $443,000. This year, $450,000. Audibury building, $38,000. This year, $75,000. Animal shelter, $5,500. This year, $75,000. County agent, $4,100. Next year, $5,000. Planning and zoning, $6,500. Next year, $10,000. Dufresne Center. Last year was $38,000. This year is $150,000, which is a bigger one. And there's about 20 other ones that are only about $2,000 or $3,000 increases based on from last year to this year.
Okay.
I would say Dufresne's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bob wants
Okay,
to.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mesterson.
Thank you all.
Okay, account number 001-400675, pages 128 to 130. Risk management, Rochelle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have before you the budget for risk management. As you're aware, we're a very small department. We have 4 employees. I have in budget actually 5 employees. We have one clerical one that was able to retire this year. We have not filled that position, but we'll keep it on the books just in case if the need arises. We're going to try to continue to work with just the 4 of us. There's a few little line items that have increased in my budget. One is going to be for professional services. As you're aware, the last couple years we've always put some money in that fund. This year I'm asking for a little bit more. With this, I'd like to give the explanation that I'd like to have the possibility of possibly sourcing out some professional training for the employees, and that's going to be on an as-needed basis. It would be in-person training amongst the employees. In addition to, and of course, if we don't need it, then it'll stay in the budget. And then also for vehicles, as y'all are aware, I did propose for a replacement vehicle this year. Very unfortunately, we were unable to successfully purchase it due to procurement and state contract. Y'all vehicles were not available to us. So I'm asking for that fund to roll over into the new 2024 budget with the addition of another vehicle possibly. I do have 2 or 3 vehicles that are all 8 to 10 years old, over 120,000 miles. I have one that the odometer is broken, so we don't even know the mileage on it. So if we are able to purchase vehicles, they would be on state contract. And with that, I just ask for your support.
All right. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rochelle, ma'am, back to your head count.
Yes.
You have dropped down to 4, but you said you wanted to keep the 5th on the books?
Yes, ma'am. We
Because it's not currently budgeted according to the budget book stats. I just want to make sure, because if we need to add it, we can do that now.
Correct. So it's just
It's
4?
just 4.
Okay, sorry about that.
Like to add it
It
back,
was-
just in case, or?
Yes, if indeed y'all would approve it, it would be for a clerical position. Right now, we currently have myself as the risk manager, and I have 3 assistant risk managers that are field personnel, and there's no clerical. If indeed we were to have a storm or a big event that I would need assistance in the office, that clerical position would be great.
You had 5 before.
Yes, ma'am.
You dropped down to 4.
Yes,
With the
ma'am.
attrition, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Grant, can you come back to us later with the numbers we need?
Yeah, we can have it ready for the next meeting, so you'll
Okay,
know the exact.
thank you.
no
We'll
totals.
do that.
Thank you, Rochelle. Are there any additional comments or questions for this? I don't see any.
I appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay. Account number 001-400680 on page 131 of your budget book, grants and the Elevation Grant Program. Ms. Chasson.
Good afternoon. The grants administration budget is relatively flat, and for the elevation program, we're doing something a little different this time. We're just putting $1 million. We did an analysis on all of the expenses across these accounts and kind of just did a little bit of an estimate. And whenever we have the actual year-end figures, we're going to roll over the difference into the 2024 budget through a budget amendment. So if you have any questions, just let me know.
To be clear, that's account number 001-400680 and 001-400685 to include both the Grants Administration and the Elevation Grant Program. Do I have any council discussion or questions?
And Madam Chairman, she also has Fund 313. It's actually at the end. I'm sure she'd probably want to do that one too now, if you allow it.
If you'd like
It's
to.
it's like the last item on the page, on the next page. That way she'd have to wait until the end. The LCDBG.
I don't see that one. Where's that?
It's under capital projects funds.
Oh, all the way to.
The
I see it.
LCDBG
Okay,
Public
yes.
Facilities.
Okay, we'll handle that in just a second, so we can just focus on these two right now.
Okay.
Any questions? Don't see any. So account number 313, pages 242 and 243. The LCDBG Public Facilities Construction, Ms. Shassel.
Yes, so this fund is for the community development block grant funds that come to the parish. We currently have 2 open awards, and that is going to cover the CN Railroad Culverts project that is getting money from the LWI. And then also the CDBG disaster recovery dollars that we're getting, and we're in the process of selecting those projects. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Are any comments or questions from the council regarding LCDBG Public Facilities Construction? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 001-410-710 and 001-410-711 and 001-410-712. That's pages 136 through 140 on emergency preparedness, emergency preparation subdivision, and the EOC 24-hour coverage. Mr. Taste.
Yeah, so before you have, good morning, before you have the 3 budgets that make up EOC's budgets for 24-hour coverage and our operating budgets. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Mr. Fisher.
Jason, are we looking to do any additional equipment upgrades? I see you have for your tower camera and your maintenance, and EOC audio visuals. I know that needs to come up, but what about any other equipment, radio equipment?
We typically do a little bit every year, so I don't come up here asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars in upgrades, and that's kind of been our philosophy since we moved into the new EOC, especially with AV, with it constantly changing. We audit in conjunction with the IT department, and then we'll do little by little every year. So it's going to be our company who handles the AV, IT, and us. And so like this year, you see we are asking for like 30-something thousand. That's typically what we ask for every year, and just do a little bit of upgrading here and there. Yeah, as technology is changing or the equipment's getting outdated.
Anything changing with these hard lines that go to most of the industrial facilities?
No, those are, so yes, there are changes with that. There's been incremental changes over the last 3 years as AT&T has really priced those out of reach for a lot of industry. Some choose to still keep it despite those cost increases, but on our end, there's no changes in equipment or whatever. Our IT through our current phone system did some retrofitting to where industry could patch in on our current system, so there's no cost for the parish.
Thank you.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Your employees are split between the EOC 24-hour coverage and the emergency preparedness. How many employees you have in each group? Do you know offhand?
So one's the administrative staff, and then the rest is going to be the rest of the employees. So all of our coordinators fall under the 24-hour coverage. The other budget's going to be 4 people.
Okay.
In those. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any additional questions or comments? All right, thank you, Mr. Taste. Account number 001-430-180, pages 145 through 147, Animal Control, Ms. Troxler. Good morning.
Good morning, Council. Gina Troxler, St. Charles Parish Animal Shelter Supervisor. Looking at our budget, we were able to get 2 trucks ordered this year, so we didn't have to put it in this year's budget. And we have some major repairs listed after Ida. Our only building damage was due to the vinyl fencing around the garbage can that flew and hit some vehicle windows. So we had that repaired as it existed prior, but we're going to upgrade that to something more hurricane-proof. And the other comment is Bob mentioned building repairs for the animal shelter increased. When they built that building, the door thresholds and some of the roll-up doors that go outside for the dog kennels were not made of stainless steel. So after a decade of chemicals, it's starting to erode and rust. So we are going to get those refinished. And that's metal work is part of what that budget is for us in buildings.
Okay. Does the council have any questions or comments? Doesn't appear there is. Thank you, Ms. Troxler.
Thank you.
Account number 001-430-225. There's a lot of these for Ms. Diaz. Let's try to bite this off in chunks here. 225, 226, 227 for Health and Safety Rehab Revitalization Fund, and Housing Preservation Grant, pages 148 through 150. Ms. Diaz.
Okay, that's the first half of a long batch.
Yes.
But basically, my program budgets are related to funding available, and it's pretty much a standstill for this year. The only area that might have a slight increase is under the health and safety, because we've been working with United Way on still doing some IDA repairs, and we kind of match funds with United Way.
Okay.
And that would be under the health and safety.
Health and safety. Do we have any questions for Ms. Diaz or comments regarding these accounts, 225, 226, and 227? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next couple. 001-430-231, 430-232, and 430-233, 430-234, and 430-235.
Only thing that we were going to see is an increase in the community services budget. We added money under emergency assistance because they have basically had a tremendous increase in demand for assistance, direct assistance. So a slight increase under each category. That would be rental assistance, water assistance, going down now, utility assistance.
Ms. Fonseca.
Joan, looks like your head count's changing.
I'm sorry?
Didn't press it hard enough. It looks like your head count is increasing in 231, but then I see a reduction in, from the community center. Did you switch staff from one to the other?
The only time the head count is under part-time staff, and that's based on the needs of the centers. But as far as our regular full-time civil service staff, it's a standstill budget. We added someone under the LWAP as the funding was available to assist us with that program. That will end when that program ends. And then under the community centers, it depends on the site needs. So those are mostly, I guess you would call them seasonal employees.
Okay. It's probably a net zero, so, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Ms. Gordon.
Yes, thank you. Joan, for the community center, how many workers do you have in Kelowna?
I have one full-time worker in Kelowna. We have a supervisor that has an actual office in Kelowna, but she supervises all of the community-based programs. And then we have one center coordinator at each site, which is St. Rose, and and Kelowna. And then we have one part-time staff on a regular basis. We have seasonal staff based on the summer program. And a lot of that's related to the census. And then we hire tutors based on the census as well. So as far as full-time civil service, one individual at each site and one supervisor.
And is the Mount Zion Community Center, are they included in these
Okay,
numbers?
the Mount Zion, all of those, individuals are hired on an as-needed basis. Like, for example, we just reopened that site. Okay, we call it Boutique Community Outreach, and we hire them based on the census, which right now are after-school workers, and then we will add summer workers as well when we do a summer enrichment. So it's program-based staffing.
Okay.
And tutors are paid for out of a separate fund in partnership with the Mount Zion. It's a complex system of funding, but we make it work.
Are there any additional comments or questions? Ms. Bella?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Diaz, security cameras, where would that fall in under security cameras?
Security cameras, well, we added them at Kelowna this year.
Right.
So it was under their particular operational budget.
All
That
right.
was for this budgeted year. We've already,
Because I was trying to figure out where to put it for,
and in St. Rose,
because we don't have any.
We have, we added one this year, out of I basically had money left in the main community services budget, community action, and so we did add some, and then if they want to expand that, it could be funded under
So you're
community
saying that there's
centers.
currently one there?
Yes, we put one that's, well, it's in the works with our IT department that we've.
So it's not there?
It wasn't, I thought it was installed. I'd have to get back with you on it, but we've ordered it.
I was aware it
We
was
ordered
not
it.
there, but I would like some to be there.
And we need it, yes.
Yeah.
We are working in partnership with IT, who helps us configure it. And we added one, I know we did add one because it was a small, it was about getting the equipment, as Anthony was saying, it was hard at sometimes. So we did add one, I guess the Amazon brand, we added a small, to have some basic coverage there. But we're working on a permanent solution.
All right, we were also speaking on partnering with the new blue ammonia plant. Have you been in communications with them?
We work with IMTT.
Right.
Extensively for special programs. For example, they would fund a trunk or treat, or they would fund, they bought a play set for us.
Because I know they did the back to school
all
book bag
backpacks,
giveaway,
yeah, specialty
and they wanted
things.
to do it on a bigger scale, but they wanted to partner with the community center.
They work with, we have ongoing meetings with IMTT, and it's a very good working relationship. And based on our center plans, then they'll sit down with us pretty much on a quarterly basis and fund those things.
Right.
And when they're doing their budget, they'll call me and say, well, what do you have in the works for this year? We want to sponsor these events.
Right.
So it's a
That's
very
what they were
good
talking to
ongoing
me
working
about, right.
relationship with them.
Okay.
Very responsive to our needs.
Okay, are there
Thank
any other questions and comments? Okay, let's move on to the next tranche here. Account number 001-430-246, which is the, how do you say that, LIHEAP? LIHEAP Administration?
Okay, when we get into the CSBG, those are grant-funded, it's formula grant allocation for our department. We split a certain amount to charge toward administrative overhead and salaries, and then the program is a combination of case manager salaries and direct assistants.
Okay.
So that's based on the allocation given to us from the state of Louisiana.
All right, that's page 158, the LIHEAP Administration. Will include 001-430-247, 340-248.
Right. That's the CSBG. Yes,
Right,
ma'am.
those are the same programs, all right. That's pages 158 through 160. Does the council have any questions or comments regarding those accounts?
Those are grant-funded programs.
Right.
That series.
Grant-funded. Doesn't appear anyone has any comments. Account number 001-430-250, 430-257, 430-258, pages 161 through 163. That's the home program, the CSBG CARES Act of 2020, and the LIHWAP Low-Income Water Assistant. Those are also funds.
And just those last two, we left it for carryover and recapture when there's money left over in the state of Louisiana allocation that other parishes don't use. I'm kind of like a pirate. I go and make a request and get those allocations. So we left, I guess it's a bad analogy, but we go and we help them spend that money.
Right.
So I left those two line items because they still have money in the fund in the state of Louisiana. And when it's available, we just put in a request and draw it down. And so it's kind of in pieces. So we may have a little bit of carryover from those funds.
All right, are there any questions or comments from the council regarding those account numbers? Doesn't seem to be. All right, we have two more left. That's 001-465-230 on pages 168, 169, and that's economic. Oh, I'm sorry, that is not it. That goes on to.
I think we went through everything.
That's,
okay.
we're done. That's for someone else.
That's it?
All right, thank you very much, Ms.
Thank you.
Diaz. I appreciate it. Okay, item number 001-465-230, pages 168 and 169, economic development. Mr. Fauché.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to present you a budget which is slightly less than what you approved last year, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does the council have any questions or comments regarding these accounts? Ms. Cluley?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
440,000 grants, is that shown as an expense, or is that just shown?
The lion's share of that, I can tell you, the lion's share of that is a pass-through from the state for mass transit funds that go toward
Okay.
the
RPTA.
transit authority. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And plus, the local share that each parish makes comes from that account as well.
Okay.
Which those two combined are about 380,000.
Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Corey, refresh my memory on the Tourist Information Center. We don't have a physical
No,
location.
we have
right?
an agreement with
It's the tri-
Destrehan.
It's
Yes.
over there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that's what these funds are for.
Yes, and that's the next one that's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Do we have any additional questions or comments? All right, let's move on to account number 001-465-235 on page 170, Tourist Information Center.
Yep. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Corey, there's quite a big jump for the maintenance of property and equipment. What is that for?
Yes, we're going to do some things to help with some seasonal events that we're going to, frame up as a tourist event to attract more visitors to the parish. So with some of the, and that's going to go toward those public properties that we have.
Are there any questions and comments? Any additional? I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. I think what we're going to do is, next account number is 107, and that's pages 184 and 185. That's Workforce Investment Act. Mr. Scott.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Madam Chair, council members, President Jewell. Before you is the proposed 2024 budget for WIOA. There have not been any significant changes from last year's budget. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Ms. Fonseca.
Tom, it looks like you're adding 2 staff.
Yes, ma'am. So we had, year-to-date, we had recently 3 individuals that retired, actually. So we replaced 2 out of those 3 individuals thus far.
Okay, it's showing a net increase of 2 from last year.
Yeah, so we have plans to add a third. However, we've been having some issues attracting someone to actually apply for that particular position. So it's kind of in the works, but it's in limbo at the moment. But we have added 2.
You've added 2 this year?
Yes, ma'am. We replaced, not 2 additional.
What Councilwoman Foska is saying is the budget is showing a net increase of 2.
Oh, okay.
Is that not?
That is not, no, ma'am, that's not accurate. It's just,
Okay.
we just replaced.
Okay, can
y'all look in the
y'all take a look and
details?
get back with us on that?
What I think happened was we had people that were still on the payroll that were retiring because they had time to utilize. So we had to cover all the positions
Back in July?
to be able to show.
So they're still budgeted and counted for next year's budget?
Yes, because they're
Can we?
still being paid.
Yeah,
Okay.
So once they roll off, it'll go
Yes.
back to 12.
Are they
But
going
in
to be here
order-
at the end of the year?
They shouldn't, well, they will be for the rest of '23, and I think they both are under payroll for some of '24.
Okay.
And we didn't have an exact date of like
Okay.
finalization, but that's why they're.
We'll
the
leave it.
additional
That explains it.
positions.
Thank you.
Can we just try to find those final end dates?
Yes.
With personnel, that way, if there is some amendment that can be made, we'll make it for the next meeting.
Okay.
All right. Is there any additional comments or questions for Mr. Scott? Don't see any. Thank you very much. Okay, file number 2023-0121 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this or any other items that we've discussed, please do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. All right, going to the general fund. This is mostly Mr. Dewsome, actually completely Mr. Dewsome. Do you have any particular requests for how it will be broken down?
No, we can do them all in general. These are just all the general fund accounts that nobody else does. So, finance is in there, but also a lot of these are small 1 or 2 line item type accounts. But if you have any questions about any of them individually, I'll be happy to answer any of them.
All right, well, let me read these out. We're looking at account number 001400130, 400150, 4009, I'm sorry, 290, 400420, 400510, 400550, 400560, 400620, 400630, 400650, 400670, 410530, 410800, 465260, 465290, 475500, 4800. We'll stick with those for now. Are there any questions? And those are pages 76 through 174 for those who are playing at home. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Dewsome? I know that's a lot to do at once, so let's give everybody a chance to. Ms. Cluley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I don't know what account this applies to. It's just kind of a general question. As the sheriff, the tax collector collects the property taxes, and it's sent over to you, and then you disperse it to the multiple agencies that fall under the parish guideline. Funds are withheld to cover certain expenses,
Yes.
insurance or whatever. Can you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's two parts. So you pay the tax collector, which would be the sheriff, for ad valorem. And then the other part is it's a requirement, and we actually, one of our accounts is retirement system contributions. All ad valorem taxes are required to, a portion of the money that's generated from that tax goes to the state pension system. So parochial, lasers, municipal, the sheriff's retirement system. So those are the fees that are deducted to go towards those. So it's to pay the tax collector for collecting the tax and then pay for the retirement system contributions.
And lots of times you don't have those numbers until
Yes.
later in the year,
Correct.
like right around this time of year, you're finalizing those final payments.
Yes.
So, do you have any idea about what percentage that is of the total collections?
I do. I have a calculation, not with me, but upstairs in my office that shows the percentage that each one gets. So like municipal gets a certain amount. It's
relatively the same across
relatively
the
the
board.
same, but I think there's like 12 of them. But it's all split out to, okay, if you're going to collect $1 million, then 0.02% is going to go to this guy, this one, this one, this one. So it's situated
Generally,
out.
what is that percentage? Do you know? Is it like 3% or?
It's
1%?
under 3%. I want to say it might be 2.25%, but I'll verify it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any additional questions or comments for Mr. Dewsome regarding these accounts? All right, let's move on to special revenue funds. This is account number 110, 110-400-205, 110-400-235, 110-410-100, 110-485, 000, and account number 120. And let's go ahead and throw in the capital project funds, account number 316, page 244. So these are pages 186 through 244, including the criminal court fund, district court department, district attorney, sheriff, transfers, government buildings, and MO, and the front foot assessment capital projects.
I'll take those. The first five that you spoke of are criminal court funds, so all related to the criminal court fund. So we have the criminal court fund in general, and then district court, district attorney, sheriff, and transfers. And basically what this is just an accounting of the fees that go through the criminal court fund for court costs, fines, et cetera, and how it's split among those three entities, the district court, the district attorney, and the sheriff's office. So there's not really anything we can do with these. It's just an accounting of the funding going through there. And the government buildings, M&O, that's actually 911. So in that case, we collect the tax for 911, the ad valorem tax, and then distribute it to them. So what comes in goes right out, so it's kind of a wash. And then the final item is the front foot assessment capital projects fund, and that's just front-foot assessment fees that were collected over the years for specific areas to be used in those specific areas.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes, thank you. Grant, on the front foot assessments, do we know how many homes or streets may fall under this?
I don't think we have that detail. I have a breakdown of what each is for. Some of it is there's one of them is $1. We have Kellogg paving for $575, Kellogg water for $1. I guess Greg just can't use that one yet. Willowdale paving for $22,772. Ormond water for $55,000. Ormond paving for $208,000. Ormond sewage for $56,000. Maryland Drive for $4,264. And Wade, Maryland paving for $68,000. Now, I don't know what areas they cover. I know we can look into it further to see, because sometimes it takes a specific from this street to that street.
That's fine,
But
yeah.
we can get that for you.
Do we have any additional comments or questions for Mr. Dewsome?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't see any. Thank you, Mr. Dewsome. We're going to back up for just a moment and go to District 6. This is account number 001400116, page 72. District 6, Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm asking that the District 6 budget stay as written.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. File number 2023-0121 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding any of the items that we've discussed so far, please do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. So, council members, if there are any questions or any additional amendments to be made, please do so now. Don't see any, so announcement. Ordinance introduced for publication and public hearing on Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 at 1 p.m. and Monday, November 6th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Council Chambers Courthouse, Hahnville. Item number 2023-0121, an ordinance to approve and adopt the appropriation of funds for the St. Charles Parish Consolidated Operating and Capital Budget for fiscal year 2024. Adjournment. A motion and a second is needed to adjourn. I have a motion by Mr. Fisher and a second by Ms. Fonseca. Please cast your votes to adjourn. Who has it voted? And that passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. We did that before